want to take your roof lining from looking like this to this, follow along. All right, guys, we're going to do a DIY roof lining removal for a MK6 Golf GTI. We'll jump on in. I'll show you the key areas that you need to remove so that you can actually get to the screws that you need to get to and be able to do it the easy way. All right, having just gone through this process, these are the tools you'll need. So I've basically got a T20 Torx screwdriver, a straight pick, a flat blade screwdriver, and I've got a slightly larger Torx. I believe it's a T25 or T27. So, but generally speaking, the T20 will get you by. So let's jump in. I'll show you exactly what you need to remove to be able to get it. So looking in the car, what we need to remove is we need to remove this back trim section that goes just along here. That has some clips in it. That simply just get your hand underneath and remove it. I'll show you that now. I just get my fingers in underneath and just pop it off. So we need a 10mm socket as well to undo these little plastic nuts that they've got holding the C-pillar trims in. You also need to remove on the C-pillars these little airbag logos. I'll show you how to remove those now. To remove these little airbag logos here so that you can get in to get the screws behind it, it's extraordinarily difficult to do this safely. Make sure to take your time, but use a nice fine pick, straight pick, and I like to get in just behind it, gently underneath without marring up your plastic. And if you can, get underneath, because it's designed to push in from the bottom side. And then juggle it out like so. So now that that's out, there's actually a T20 Torx up in there. When you look at the back of these, there is a right and a wrong way to push them in. The way that it works to get it in and out. The way that you want to get this out is get your Torx in underneath and try and pop it out like that, because they're actually angled at the bottom. See? Once it's out, you've got to remove your Torx from there. You've got your 10mm C-pillar up in here, and you only need to remove these C-pillar panels. This is the same on both sides, and you can flex them down enough to get it out. No need for removal of your B-pillar or A-pillar. Moving forwards, the next thing that you've got to remove is these handles. Now, when you look in here, there's a little outline of a cover. Use your pick just to pop that down on both sides. So there's one, there's two, and now that those are down, there's a T20 Torx inside there. Once you've got your screws undone, just a gentle yank, and it's actually got two clips in there, and it will pop out of those clips. So we need to remove all four handles. As you can see, the process will be the same for all of them. You do not need to remove this center light. It's simply plugged in up the front. I'll show you how to remove the fronts now. All right, now at the front on your sunshades, you have a little cover. Again, just get your pick tool up into there. Make sure not to mar up your plastic. Pop that out. Make sure that you tuck that safely aside. And there's a T20 Torx in there. Same on the other side over here. You can't really see it, but get your pick in there and pop that. That will stay attached. There's a T20 Torx in there as well. Make sure to remove that screw as well, and it'll simply pop out and the sun visor will come out, which I'll show you the process for doing now. So that'll come off like so. Then what you want to do is pull your sun visor down, and then to get this out, you're going to shuffle it towards the windscreen, just gently, and it will pull out to a cable. If you give that a gentle pull, it'll come out to a plug. You pull the lever just here towards the outside, and it comes off like so. Now, there's also two screws up in here that need to be removed. So what we need to do is we need to just get our pick tool, gently pop this down at the front edge here. So be careful not to break it. There's actually two little hangers there. And what you'll do is there's two little screws up in here to take this little binnacle out. Once you've got those two screws out, this will gently just pop down like that. There's a couple of clips. And once you're in there, you have 3 or 4 cables that you need to just disconnect, just depending on your arrangement. There's one disconnected on this because this car doesn't have the feature, and I've replaced that in the past. And up in here, you also see this white ribbon cable. You need to disconnect that. That goes to your center light and the lights on the sun visors as well. But to get the roof lining out, there's 2 screws here that go up into the roof lining, well, not in the roof lining, into the roof itself, and they're the last screws that you need to undo to remove the roof lining. So I needed a long flat blade screwdriver to get in there just to cut the clips. So rather than forcing the issue and damaging this roof lining, I'll pop the first clip and show you how I did it. Is the reason that this was retained, if your roof lining's never been out, there's these little plastic clips here that actually go into the roof lining. Right, so when doing the roof lining, these little clips will actually retain the front edge. Make sure to pop it with the flat blade screwdriver. I'll show you the following now, and then the front edge will come down. So, when you're looking at these, just here is where those clips went. The screws that went through there, as you can see, there's clips there, clips there. So after disconnecting those clips, the roof lining should slide out. You just need to juggle it over the B pillar and C pillars. So to get this roof lining back in, I'm currently juggling it in like this, just as I'm by myself at the moment. So I'll juggle it up, and then what we'll do is we'll end up trying to get it above that second C pillar trim on the right hand side just here. So we'll see how we go. So getting this in, I did it as I showed you. I pulled this side down C pillar trim wise, and I have it just underneath. I'm going to shuffle it through and then pull the headlining back over the top of this piece just here so we don't damage anything. When we're installing your roof lining, make sure that your ribbon cable is tucked over the top of this and through. As you're putting it in, you'll be able to then tuck it down through the roof lining, and it gives you that spot that you can then just tuck your cable back up into this hole, and it means that your sun visor will go back together safely. First, so I tuck all of these cables through. There we go. Front is tucked for the most part. Just need to juggle. This is where I'm tucking the B pillar back in, and just making sure this is where you'll really see the benefit from tucking those wires back into the sun visors. And this is a good opportunity to make sure that you're actually doing it as well. So here you see me just sort of juggling the roof lining back into the seal. So just got to tuck it into our B pillar. Check our A pillar as well, make sure that at the front edge here. So half the art's getting these C pillars back in. As you can see at the front, that all looks pretty good at the moment. Around the windows looks pretty good. So I've just got to tuck these C pillars back in, and that'll hold it up. And I've just got to get it back on those bolts there. So tap those clips in like so. We'll have to do the same on the other side over here. So in this case I've still also got to just pop this trim stuff back on. So just roll the edge of your seal back over the edge of the plastic. We might go to the front and we'll focus on getting it buttoned down, because it's going to be the main area where we're going to run into grief. So we want to do our clip back up for these little lights, so it holds the roof lining up. So you can see that there's not sort of like an issue with where we're actually mounting to, and that we don't have it dropped in a certain area. Now, to pop this back in, what we're going to do is we need to make sure that this ribbon cable is through the attachments on the roof. I'll show you those on the screen now. It needs to go through the middle. Then pull this gently down, plug this back in. And what we need to do is we need to gently just juggle this connector back up into the hole first before we force anything. So it'll slot, and then just gently get it in, and there's a little hook on there. So what you're going to do is put that hook in, and then I like to fold this up because it likes to sort of hold it there. We get our Torx again, pop our cover back on, click, and then same over here basically. We just got to get this the right way around, get your Torx, and this one doesn't have any fancy or funky clips. Just tighten your Torx up. So next up, we're probably due for this guy. So I'll plug our infrared sensors back in. Next up, we've got our mic. Our mic needs to go back in, otherwise we're in quite a bother. Although we've got an RCD 330 unit in this one, so it's not that big of a deal because it's got an inbuilt microphone. Click him back in. Make sure not to mix up your screws front and rear, because these rear screws are actually slightly shorter than the front ones. Put the wrong screws in, you could potentially drive them through and dent your roof. The C-pillar trims. The way they're meant to go in is they're meant to go in, push up, and at the bottom they go click. So it goes up and in like so. And now we have a successfully DIY replaced roof lining. If you need to pull it out and just reline it, the process is the same. The only difference being that you're going to have to recover it in between pulling it out and putting it back in. If you want to see more stuff like this on Volkswagens, make sure to drop us a like, subscribe. If you've got any questions, drop it in the comments and I'll try and answer them as best as I can. Thanks, guys.